Yo, what's happening, folks, and welcome back to the channel with Guest Producer Episode 2. And in this video today, we are featuring my good friend Rick, otherwise known as Sevven. What's up?
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
Rick, you've been a part of the furniture of the Hit Lab since day one. You've always been known, both with our clients and with us here at the studio, as being the tech guy. If there's a new piece of technology, Ricky's got it. He brings it to the studio or he tells us about it, man. So basically, what is your video about today, man? What are you going to be talking about?
You know, it's interesting because we've all been hit hard over the last year and a half with work, and trying to continue working despite the fact that we're not able to move around, or despite the fact that clients can't come to us. So a big part of my workflow and a big part of what we've been doing at the studio is being able to work remotely, being able to send mixes to clients and then get feedback on those mixes, maybe in real time or even remote recording. So we're diving into how we could make that a little bit easier.
That is super awesome, man. Well, we're gonna get into that video in a second, guys. But before we do, please head on over to the channel, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for instant notifications, give this video the big thumbs up. Just give it a thumbs up, guys, even if you don't like it, man. Come on, let's be nice. It's 2021. The world is in a weird place, so let's give each other thumbs ups. Without further ado, guys, I'm gonna hand the channel over to Rick, and he's gonna tell you guys how he thinks the future of recording is rolling out. Enjoy.
I think in 2020 and 2021, we've all been sidelined with this pandemic that's happening globally and really been struggling to navigate how are we going to continue working. But this has been a problem for me for longer than that. I've had a friend move to New York a couple of years ago and we had to continue working. I've had lots of remote mix work come up even before 2020. It's always been challenging to figure out a workflow that really works well with someone being on the other side of the planet or just being in a different province or area than what you are. So I think I've found a solution that works really well. It's been super consistent. It's been super easy for both myself and the clients to be able to, get into and get them on board. And it's just been really lovely. I've finished 2 EPs for a friend of mine that was in a completely different place than what I was. We 100% just did it all online. And yeah, I think I've got a good solution and I'm going to run you guys through some options that might work for you too. One of the first things is audio quality. And this is the main thing. I mean, when someone's not in the room with you, yes, being able to see them, all of those sort of things, maybe being able to see their computer screen, that's all important and we are going to look at that. But the first thing that's 100% the most important is audio quality, and specifically the audio quality of the piece of music that you're making with your client. So whether you in production and you want them to sit in on the session, or whether you're doing a mix review, you absolutely want them to hear what you are hearing. So the first thing is to be able to have high quality audio from your DAW that you can basically play back and the client can hear that exact same high quality audio on their end, whether they can choose to plug in a set of headphones or a pair of monitors and be able to hear something super high quality. Very, very important. So the solution that I found is called Session Wire Studio. You can have a look, I've got it open here. It's super simple. It sort of looks like Zoom, it sort of looks like Skype, your regular thing, but it's got something under the hood that makes it really impressive. Now, the reason why Zoom and Skype is not a good option is because they compress the audio really, really terribly. They degrade it so much. You don't have good low end, high end, everything sounds fuzzy. It's just not a good way to do it. And we've tried and it just doesn't work at all. So what this is, Session Wire is a great solution because what it has, it's got 2 audio inputs on it. So this is the first thing. You'll see that this first little button here, I can select an input, which at the moment it's just my MacBook Pro built-in microphone, and this is for talkback. So I can also put that on or off. So I can mute or unmute my microphone while still having my DAW audio go through. So this is really nice if I need to have them listen to something, I want to talk to someone in the room, so I can still mute myself while the main audio is still continuing to go through to the client. So this second input here is very, very important. So this, you'll see it says select HQ audio input. So what this does is allows me to have an external audio input come into this piece of software, and then that's going to stream this super high quality to the client. This is basically, and I've done an A/B test where I had 2 laptops, I played back on the one, I plugged my headphones into the other one, and then I went back and forth with the headphones to listen to the local playback on the one and to listen to the playback on the one that's being streamed to. And it's fantastic. It's like streaming music off Spotify. It's obviously not an uncompressed wave format, but it's still super high quality, more than enough for a client to be able to listen what you're doing and accurately hear low end, high end. And this is the magic source of this piece of software, is this high quality audio input. It's unbelievably good. You've got these two different audio inputs. You can run a system where you've got your talkback. If you're running a bigger audio interface like an Apollo, you could run your talkback through that and just send it through the high quality audio inputs as well, which I often do. Often I don't use this talkback and I just mute it. But yeah, you could absolutely just use this high quality audio input, and just whatever system you're running, you might already have a talkback mic in your system, and then that will just come through here as well. There are also session wires in beta, and they've got plugins that you can actually run from your DAW as well to send audio to session wire. The reason I like doing it this way is because then they get my system-wide audio. So even if I'm playing back something on Spotify to reference or YouTube to reference, the client can hear that audio as well. So this 100%, this is not a detailed review of session wire, which we might do at some stage, but this is the piece of software that really makes all of this happen, and mainly because it allows us to stream high quality audio to the client. It is a paid software. It's not a lot of money. It's totally worth it. And the beautiful thing is only the producer has to have a subscription. The client does not. You only need a subscription to basically be able to make a call. So the client can absolutely just receive the call even if they don't have a subscription. And the other beautiful thing is the client can also send you, they've got all of these same features. They can send you high quality audio from their system back to you. So what this has allowed me to do is I've got a client in New York where I've got two laptops running. One laptop is my laptop that I'm running with, and then another one, I'm running TeamViewer and controlling his laptop on his end and sending myself his high quality audio back through session wire. What this enables me to do is he can stand by the microphone, record almost as if he's in a vocal booth, but he's on the other side of the planet. I can control his session from my side with TeamViewer, and he doesn't have to do anything. He can just sing, and I can hear what he's hearing. I can control his headphone mix because he's got an Apollo on that side. So I can basically, it's like having his computer all across the pond on this side, and it's a wonderful working experience. And then once the session is done, I will just sync that Logic session or whatever software you use via Dropbox, and off you go. You've got the files on your end, and that hardly ever takes very long to do anyways. So there's so many different applications that you can do between SessionWire, TeamViewer with remote work. You can have sessions, you can have all sorts of things going on. So the next thing you'll see is once we've covered audio, there's a couple of different options visually that you can offer your clients. So the first is what we've got here. If you look at the screen, we've got the built-in webcam on the Mac, and it's not great. It doesn't look very nice. It looks like a webcam. SessionWire, once you connect with someone on a call, does have the ability to share your screen, so you can show them what you're doing. The problem with that though is then they lose me. So you can't do picture in picture. So I can't have my screen as well as myself in a small little corner where they can still see me as well. That's not ideal. So option one is you can just use the SessionWire with a webcam, and there's no extra cost. It's just a subscription, off you go. If you want to level up the visual aspects of a little bit, I've got a couple of options to show you, and I'm going to move to my iPad to do so that we can talk about that. Right, so this is option one. Basically, all this is going to do, it's going to add a camera into the mix, and it'll add a way to get that camera into the computer. Now, I'm not going to recommend specific cameras and things in this video because I just feel like there's probably a lot of that out there, and this is so budget dependent. I mean, you could spend anything from, let's say, in the $800, or for people in South Africa, it's maybe 10,000 Rand, and that can ramp up to a $10,000 setup. So I'm not going to recommend specific cameras. I'm just going to show you the pieces you need, and then you can go from there. So the first thing is that you need a camera. Now, what's interesting about cameras is that there's a bunch of options that are very important. So the first thing is you want to buy a DSLR that's got a replaceable lens. And then when you buy a lens, two important things to look at is your focal length. You want something that's going to be nice and wide. So that you can include as a first lens anyways, that you can include your whole environment. So you can see how beautiful this studio looks. It looks spacious. We can see everything that's going on. If I had a keyboard next to me, they can watch me play the keyboard, whatever the case is. So a nice wide lens, as wide as you can get, is probably good. And then the second thing why we like to upgrade to cameras, and I can show you this here, is that what you end up getting is you get these nice blurry backgrounds. So if I go to this here, you can see that my background here, if you look at this plant, it's just slightly out of focus, which is really, really nice. And this, you could get this, depending on the lens, you could get that a lot more out of focus, but you just get a professional looking image out of the camera. And the number to be looking at for that would be the f-stop number on the lens. And you want to buy a lens that is as low as possible. If you can buy something that's like an f1.4, that's incredible. f2.8 is good. The minute you start looking at like f3.5, 4, 5, that's where things go haywire a little bit, and you're not going to really get the image that you probably have in mind and the reason why you want to go this route in the first place. The other thing is just that the f number, the lower it is, the more light you get in as well. So you just, it's easier to expose the image properly. Again, there's tons of videos out there on how to do cameras and what cameras are about, and you'd probably have to go learn a little bit about that, but this is the one piece you would need, is a camera. The second thing you need to do is you need a way to get this camera into your computer. And the best way to do that is with a video capture device, which is this thing here. This is a Elgato Cam Link. They're really, really good. There are cheaper ones. Again, I'm not going to recommend anything specific because it would depend on your budget. Just remember that the cheaper ones are often not as reliable. So buying something here that's reliable, like a Cam Link, would be very good, just because you know you're going to get that reliability. All right, so basically how this would work is you would have your laptop. I'll just put little keys there. So the Cam Link will plug into the laptop, and the HDMI output of the camera would go into the Cam Link. Then the lens will obviously go onto the camera, and you would probably need a little tripod of sorts as well, just to put the camera on. And then the last piece that I've got here is I've got a little audio microphone here. For a lot of guys working from home setups, for example, maybe you can, working on your built-in laptop's microphone for talkback is not going to sound great. It might sound very roomy and not too good. So I could recommend something like a Rode Video Micro or any sort of external boom mic that's just a little bit more directional. And in this case, this microphone will go straight into the camera, and then that will feed through the HDMI input. It would also go into the computer then. And this would just give you a little bit higher quality of talkback, which is really nice. My personal setup, I normally use an SM7B that I've got going through my actual audio interface as well. And that gives me, no matter what room I'm in, just gives me really good sound quality on my talkback as well. Because the last thing you want is someone trying to hear the music, but there's this noise going on in the back and the neighbors cutting grass, and yeah, it's just a nightmare. They can't hear what you're doing because it's distracting. And this is the benefit on SessionWire of being able to mute the talkback mic, because that way you can, if you've got some construction going on next door or whatever, you could technically just mute your talkback when you're playing back the music, and then there's no distractions while you're actually listening to the music being made or to the mix that you're referencing or doing a review on. So this is sort of the first step up your camera, get a way to get the camera into the computer, and get a better microphone for the camera. That's already going to give you a better image quality than what the laptop does. The other thing with the webcam is you often get this sort of like the angle of it's not really great. So with a separate camera, you can frame things up a bit nicer and make it look really nice. All right, so let's move on to the second setup if you want to level it up even more. This gets a little bit more complicated, and what's nice about this is you'll see that it's the same sort of pieces. So we've got the camera again, the lens will go onto the camera, same things apply. You've got the audio that can go into the camera, and then you've also got some of the pieces here now, which we'll have a look at. So one of the things we said is if you want to be able to share the screen but still have picture-in-picture, that gets a little bit complicated, and that's where this device comes in here. This is a Blackmagic ATEM Mini. Now there's various models here, and you can go look at what the benefits are of them. This is just the plain one, and this device is super affordable for what it does. I think they go for about $299, about 5,500 Rand in SA, but they are so flexible. And then for the top end one, I don't know what the dollar prices are, but it's about 24,000 Rand for the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, and it's got 8 camera inputs. It's a crazy device. Anyways, this is an important thing. This will basically replace that little Cam Link. So what this does, it's got 4 camera inputs or 4 HDMI inputs. So your camera will go into input 1, for example. Then you'll have your laptop, again, which has SessionWire on it, which there's a USB output on this, which will go into there. So that'll bring all of this video into the laptop. Your camera will go into the HDMI input 1, and then your laptop screen, you can come out with HDMI and you can plug it into this second input on the ATEM, which then allows you to basically just switch between your camera and your MacBook on the fly with the button. And then your client sees camera, laptop, camera, laptop. Now what's nice with this ATEM, if you look at the top here, there's these buttons which has got picture in picture. So you could have your laptop and then you could also have a little picture in picture on that. And I've got a little example here that I can show you. So if I go to this, would be the first screen that your client can see. So they can see you talking. This is how we're doing a live stream. And then, when you're busy working in Logic, you can have this sort of look going on where you've got your Logic session open in the back and you've got a picture of yourself, which you can move around to different parts of the screen. You can resize it. You can put it in a little circle if you want. Lots of flexibility here. And as I mentioned, there's different models of this ATEM Mini. There's the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, which has got a feature called Super Source built in, which allows you to put more than one source on screen. So you could, for example, have your main camera, you could have a laptop screen share open, and you can have a second camera that's maybe a close-up of your hands playing when you're playing piano that's on there, or whatever it is you want to do with it. So obviously the higher end switches you buy, the more options that gives you in terms of, and more flexibility it gives you in terms of the production quality that you can basically give to your clients. And already this is a huge leap up from what we have with just a plain webcam. All right, then same thing applies here. We've got audio that can go straight into the camera. Same as setup as what we were just talking about with the first option. The only difference here is that this audio can also go into the ATEM Mini, because the ATEM Mini has two audio inputs on it. And then the last element I just want to talk about here is a little bit of lighting, and that's the stuff on this side. And this is very important, even in this video. So we've got a key light here that's lighting me up at the moment. There's a little hair light at the back up there that's creating this look. There's the little practicals, there's the lamps, there's the globes hanging from the ceiling, and this all adds to the mood and the lighting of your set. And it brings me to lighting, but also your set and how you make that up to what you do with how it looks around you, basically, which is extremely important as well. So I want to move to, I've got a little slide here, and what's interesting about this slide is that this is from my house when lockdown in South Africa just started, and both myself and Howie, we went home. We were going to be stuck there for 2 weeks, and I was like, I need to still work, and I don't want to seem like I'm working from a laptop in my lounge. So I built this little thing, and it was super DIY. It took me like a couple of days to do. First thing you can see is that it was pretty versatile, because I managed to, in the same space, get 3 different looks here that all just look slightly different and interesting. So and the main thing that's changing here is the lighting. The props are all the same. So the first thing that I had what we call a key light, which I've got this light here as well. That's just sort of the main light lighting me up. And you can see that, like in this picture here, you can see that there's, on number 3, there's a light lighting me up from there. And this light would technically just be out of the shot there, in front of me, like lighting me up from the front. And then I've got a couple of other things going on here. I didn't really have a lot of rim lights on me and things, but here I do. You can see on number 2, there was a little LED panel to the side here set to red, and it basically just came in like this from the side, and that's what's giving me all this red rim even on my face here. Really, really nice. In this scene, I've also got this red is spilling out onto this little thing here, which looks really nice. And then we've got a little lamp here that's creating this. I've got another light up on the ceiling here that's creating that sort of shape there. And then there's another globe in here, RGB globe, that's giving me that red, which is really, really nice. All of these bulbs were RGB bulbs, so I can change the color very easily to make it match whatever I wanted to do. All right, so let's look at the first one here. So we've got the key light. I've got that light coming from the top again, creating that little shape. That's not coming from this light. This light is just here as a background. This one is also just sort of like a mood light, like a practical. And then there's a little RGB panel hidden just behind the piano here, creating this blue spill on the wall. And then there's another RGB panel just below here, creating this orange on that one. And then the last one, got a little RGB panel behind the flowers. It's creating this nice little glow, which I quite like, set to red. And I've got that little RGB panel here again, blasting the wall to create the blue there. And then I put this little lamp that's on here, I put on the floor just below to create this little bit of yellow on there, and you can actually see it. So this was the picture in the bottom right corner. This picture here is basically what the setup looked like. It looks nothing like what the client sees. It was a bit of a mess actually. So I've got my box with my audio interface, I've got my laptop, this is the stand for the key light, and then here you can see I had that other lamp on the floor. This was a super tight space. And here you can see the little RGB panel in the corner. This was such a tight space, but I managed to still do something that was cool. And I can't explain to you enough. There's a saying that says you got to dress for the job that you want, and this is why this stuff is so important for me. When someone works with me, they have an incredible online experience. They always comment, wow, it looks really nice, it feels professional. They feel like they're in safe hands because the production quality from the audio right through to what it looks like when they deal with me is just great. It's not like just being on another Zoom call, because I'm sure we all sick of Zooms and Skypes and whatever. This is a really, really interactive way to deal with your clients that make sure that what they're hearing is great, what they're seeing is great. They feel like they're there as close to as being in the room with you. And I think that's super important. So I hope that gives you a rough overview. If there's anything you want us to cover more in detail, let me know. Happy to do that. But I wanted to do a video that just gives you an overview of what's possible and where you should start with creating a great online experience for your clients and for yourself as well.
That is absolutely awesome, dude. And you've enlightened me today. And this is one of the biggest things that I love about this guest producer thing that I've been doing with the channel. You just learn new things every day. And I've been doing remote work and I'm not doing it the way you are, and I'm most certainly going to. And so thank you for that, dude.
Only a pleasure, man. Yeah, and I hope people have found that helpful. If you did, just a reminder to like and subscribe to the channel. You know, it's like how we're saying, the whole point of this is to learn. And often by just making these videos, you learn as well. For us, it's a great experience. So yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Man, absolutely. Well, guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for sticking around. Remember, as Ricky said, like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a fantastic week. Peace.